Hello and welcome everybody to the first ever Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve virtual online open house. Obviously this is a little different than usual. We hope everybody is safe out there, but normally we have a shop full of people today, and we're certainly sad not to see all of our local friends and those who travel from out of town to come here for our behind the scenes tour and to meet all of us. But what's fantastic is that everybody around the globe today now has a chance to tune in and watch this excellent behind the scenes tour we're giving. Hopefully you'll have fun and you'll learn a little something, and then you can go on the website and enjoy some of the other perks of our open house today. So the first thing I always like to do when we start our tour is talk a little bit about the history of Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve, who we are and how it is that we got here. So let's dial back to 2002. My mother, Ida, was a science teacher at the time. Before that, she had been a nurse here in Cleveland. So she had a nursing degree and a master's in biology, which led her mind to start thinking about an issue we were having personally, and that's that we had eczema in the family. Eczema, itchy and red and flaky, something many people deal with. And my stepdad was suffering from it. And my mom really didn't understand the steroid creams that were being prescribed by dermatologists. She knew that wasn't the right option. And so after an awful lot of research, she came up with one glaring golden nugget that she thought might be a good path to go down, and that was plants. Plants are organic, they're natural, they grow here on Earth and can be harvested for all of their amazing properties. And so after a bunch of research and time in the kitchen, Ida whipped up a couple things, a soap bar and a salve. And she asked her husband to please stop using the soaps, the creams, the steroids, the lotions that he had, and just use these products to see what would happen. And after just a couple weeks, guess what happened, lo and behold. And so 18 years later, now here we are, with a line of almost 400 handcrafted, certified organic products and a staff of 20 people in a phenomenal workshop. And so today we're gonna go through some of what we do, starting here in our product kitchen. Now, why do we call it a product kitchen? And what are you seeing around me? Well, it's a product kitchen because 18 years later, we've replicated the exact idea of what Ida had done then, using the same equipment and the same methods. And so she had a 4-burner stove, a fridge and a freezer, a crock pot, and a small mixer. And today, that's all we use. We might have a couple more of them, but they're exactly the same. 4-burner stoves, crock pots, a couple of fridges and freezers, and that's all we have. 2 people, women are our product chefs here at Chagrin Valley, Elizabeth and Christine. Each one of them hand makes every single product we pump out of this shop that isn't a solid bar of soap or shampoo. And so today what you see is Elizabeth is using a small pot to make what is a full batch of Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve lip balm. This happens to be our very popular Healing Herbs lip balm made with sea buckthorn fruit oil. And you can see that she's just using a small metal pot to hand pour these into little glass pots, recyclable container. And what you get is small batch control, quality control that you cannot get in a mechanized or factory setting. These are made in the same quality and same small batch that Ida always had. Here you see our fantastic and popular small lotion bars. These are just made in a candy mold. They're made by putting, again, ingredients raw into a small pot like that and pouring them into what is a candy mold, popping them out after they're in the fridge into a tin, and now you have a nice lotion bar you can rub on your hands. Here we have a salve. Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve got its name because we don't just make soaps and creams, we make really medicinal product using herbs. And so this actually is a salve for dogs' paws when they're cracked in the wintertime or dry. Of course, we make human salves and salves for every type. And so these are full batches that were just made today of Chagrin Valley product. And so you understand, with this same small batch quality control, only using basic kitchen items like a spatula or pouring things out into containers with things like a pastry bag, we're maintaining a small quality, small batch control that only a small kitchen can. And this means you're getting products from us freshly made every week or so, and then we simply make more for you. So I think one of the important things to do now is you'll follow me right across the room. We'll move the camera into what is our herbs and oils area. And this way you can see some of the raw ingredients we use at Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve to make the products that we have here in our kitchen. Okay, so thanks for following, everybody. We've walked a few feet across our product kitchen into what we call our herbs and oils land. And why do we call it that? Because it's filled with different kinds of dried herbs and all of the oils we use here at Chagrin Valley. So let's talk a little bit about our core ingredients and what makes USDA organic a core philosophy of Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve. Let's use some of our oils as an example. What's an oil? It's fat that comes from a plant. So as an example, a coconut, something we can all understand, coconut tree grows the coconut, and the stuff that comes out of that coconut is fat that we call an oil. We get it by doing a cold press. Everything here is USDA certified organic, virgin, meaning it's unprocessed, and if it's an oil, it's cold pressed, meaning it's pushed between two plates, wood or metal, to get the bit of fat out. No chemicals, no high heat processing, simple extraction through pressing. We can do it with an olive, we can do it with the pit of an avocado to get fresh avocado oil, rose hips, or even a tiny red sea buckthorn fruit to get sea buckthorn fruit oil. But they're all grown USDA organic, they're virgin, so they're unprocessed, we get beautiful colors and smells, and they're cold pressed. Once we move on from our oils, we get a little deeper. We take those oils and we make something really important here at Chagrin Valley, the foundation of almost all our products, and that's an infusion. And that's what happens when we take the oils and we steep them with the herbs. And so here's a great example of an infusion. This infusion was made with helichrysum flower and raw dried carrots. And so we're taking one of our raw cold pressed organic oils and we're mixing it with raw virgin organic herbs to make an infusion, almost like a tea, that when you put it on your skin, you get the benefits of the properties of all those herbs we used. So let's talk about the herbs we use. We use over 200 different USDA organically grown herbs here at Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve. Some of those are things that can be done right here locally in our area, and some of them are indigenous plants that come from very far ends of the earth. Everything we get, though, comes from American companies that are certified USDA organic, just like we are, and we source directly through them, and they're the ones who care over these farms in the US or across the globe to grow these wonderful herbs. They're grown organic, they're harvested safely without much mechanization, they're simply dried raw and sent to us. They are not irradiated, which you'd be sad to find out most herbs that are sent to you out there are blasted with a bit of radiation to kill insects, and they're never frozen or treated with heat. These are phenomenal herbs. So here's a couple examples of some herbs we have. To show you, we have things you're very familiar with, like dried rosemary, something probably everyone has in their kitchen, and dried rosebuds. They smell and look absolutely beautiful, and we use them for all kinds of stuff here. But we also have really strange herbs that come from Ida's vast knowledge of botany, human biology, and plant alchemy. Things like helichrysum flower or mugwort. And what we understand about these is the properties they have to help with the skin and the hair so that we can craft them into phenomenal products to benefit you in a medicinal and healthy way. Not every single thing we use is only medicinal, however, because here's a really great example. This is our summer seasonal that just came out, our Summer Breeze soap. You can see how beautiful this soap bar is. Now, the way we do something like this without using the colors, the dyes, the fake fragrances that everyone uses, well, we make our simple batter that we use for this particular recipe, and that's the white you see. Then we make two other small batters, just like you would a marble cake. The purple one here is done with alkanet root, and this beautiful yellow golden color you see is annatto seeds and turmeric powder. And so when we mix those together, we swirl the batter in with a spatula, just like you would a cake, and you end up with a beautiful bar. All of the colors are coming from organic plant material only. Believe it or not, this is how every dye was done for thousands of years until this century when we invented chemical dyes. So we use these for the skin, for the hair, for all their benefits, but also for beautiful colors and scents. And here's a couple things I always like to talk about because they're not from the far ends of the earth. They're done here locally, and some of them are grown here locally, and others are grown elsewhere. These are Japanese adzuki beans, a small little red bean that comes from Japan. When ground, it makes a really awesome powder we can use as an exfoliation. These are rolled oats, something grown right here in Ohio. And so we get both of these from an Amish farm an hour south of here. They grow the organic oats themselves. They don't grow the adzuki beans, but we bring them in for them. And then they mill them both in their old stone mill, using a horse and their daughter to go around the mill and mill these into flour. They're organic, they're local, it's a great operation, and so we support them by getting ingredients like that. The last thing to talk about, because we've talked about the foundation, we've talked about some of the colorants, we've talked about some of the skin and hair benefits from herbs, is the essential oil. It's a little bit of a misnomer because essential oils are not oils. They're not plant fat. They're actually distillations. They're more like liquor. They're made in a still. And so here's a good example to help you understand. Let's talk about an orange. If you have a whole orange and you take the peels off, you can use the insides and juice it for organic orange juice. But what happens with all those organic orange peels? So if you have a still, which is a large metal thing used for distillation, you put the orange peels in, you heat it from underneath, and as the oils from the orange, where the scent is, rise up towards the top, they cool. They drip out as essential oils. And what you get is this, with a beautiful scent. And so by getting raw organic essential oils like you see on all these racks behind me, we're able to take just a few drops and scent one of our absolutely amazing products for you to smell with a raw, true essence of a plant. Understanding these oils, these herbs, and these essential oils really helps you to understand who we are at Chagrin Valley, how we use the most raw organic plant ingredients, and then cook them small batch in our kitchen to get them home to you for your benefits and your happiness. Now we're going to go over to what is sort of the heartbeat of our entire operation here, which is our soap making manufacturing room. We're going to have to kind of grab the camera and go a couple rooms over. So pause a few seconds, follow me, and let's go take a look. And here we are in one of the most fascinating spaces and sort of the heart of our whole building. This is the soap making room. What I have here in front of me, believe it or not, are the absolute original soap pots that Ida ever used on her stove in her kitchen. And as you can see, this is a stock pot. It's a soup pot, still scorched inside from a little bit of lye. But these two pots, and you always use two pots, were the ones Ida originally had on her stove. One of them got oil, and one of them got lye and water. The pots inevitably and eventually moved to be a little bit bigger, and now even bigger. And the difference here is this really isn't a soup pot anymore or a stock pot, it's actually a really large crock pot. Because rather than heat it from the bottom, we have a heating coil that goes all the way around so that just like everything we do here, we can slow and low, very gently melt all of the oils together. And what is it that makes soap? 3 ingredients: fat, water, and lye. The fat we're using at Chagrin Valley is USDA certified organic plant-based fats, plant oils, coconut, olive, palm, cocoa butter. And then we're using natural lye and water. Those 3 ingredients only combined together form a solid bar that we today call soap through a chemistry process called saponification. So if you think about it, if you turn over the ingredients of something you're using and you don't see the words water, sodium hydroxide, which is lye, and some fat, you do not have soap, which means about 90% of everything out there you think is soap is actually just detergent, which is water and chemicals. And so here, just like Ida always have, we have our pots. One of them got the fats, we gently melt, the other the water and lye. And when they're ready and they're liquid, we open the spigots, we let the oils flow through together into a pot, and the magic of chemistry starts doing its work, and in the end, you end up with a solid product. Ben, our chief soap maker back here, is already doing that here today. He's emptying oils right from the tanks into the pot, mixing them together, and pouring them into the molds that we have today. Over a few days, those are gonna sit. It takes 3 days for that liquid soap to become the solid bar that we think of as soap. On day 1, it's kind of like Jell-O, and on day 2, it's kind of like a mozzarella soft cheese. But on the 3rd day, that soap block is hard enough, almost like a Munster cheese, that it can be cut with a wire. If you think about it, if we wait 1 extra day, it can harden too much and become too solid to cut. And so now that we have soap in our molds and ready, I'm gonna take you just a few feet over across to the other side of the soap room, and we're gonna look at the cutting process. Come on, follow me. Well, welcome to the Chagrin Valley cutting area. This is where all of our molds of soap end up to be cut. After the soap making process that we saw and the molds that we were looking at, they get wheeled over here to our custom built cutter, where we use a winch to lift up those very heavy blocks of soap before they get cut. To help understand this a bit, I'm going to show you a little of the history of our soap molding and cutting over the years. Believe it or not, this is our very first Chagrin Valley soap mold, handmade by Howard for Ida back in 2002. This mold still has hand calculations on the back for lye and oil ratios, and Ida was able to get 6 bars of hand-cut soap using this knife right here out of this mold. The molds slowly were built bigger and bigger until eventually we settled on this size right here. What's great about this size mold is using the knife, we could slice it down the middle and down the middle again in a plus way, getting 4 separate loaves of soap. And we do call soap loaves when it's in a long bar form, just like bread. The soap loaf was then put onto our handmade miter box that Howard also built, and then with one cut of our knife, we were able to get a perfect size bar. With 4 molds, we were making 90-some bars in a day, rather than just 12. And after 2 years of Christine, our product chef, hand cutting every bar with a knife, we finally had a custom-built cutter for us. Looks rather like a paper cutter. And this was made so that we could take a loaf of soap, put it down, and with one cut, with what is basically cheese wire, we could cut 12 bars of soap. This really sped up our process over the years, allowed Christine to cut more soap, and allowed Mom to make a lot more soap. Then we moved here to our new shop and started making our soap in the large form molds that we showed you. Those PVC molds can get in the vicinity of 300 bars of soap from just one mold. Not 12 and not 40, but about 300. And so with 300 bars in one block, we use a winch to help lift it up. And then once the block is here, we take the sides off of our mold, and that's when we simply push a little arm that has an air-powered tube that brings a cutting arm down. And this cutting arm has the same little cheese-type wires that our original paper cutter style cutter had. It's all run by air, and in one cut, that whole block becomes loaves. Our slabber, or soap cutter, Katie, then inspects the loaves, makes sure they're all in fantastic shape, and they get stacked back up, and a different arm would come down with one cut, and now they all become individual bars. Just 2 cuts, 300 bars. And it allows Katie to cut mold after mold throughout the day, getting our whole batch done. What you're actually seeing here, today drying, is one of our specialty soaps that we don't make in those typical molds. The PVC molds for these shaving soaps are actually a round that we pour into, pop out the soap, and cut into shaving rounds. This proprietary cutter still has the sign on it that says this cutter was expressly made for Chagrin Valley Soap and Salve Company. And although we know this is how we do it today, we're sure in the future, just like this, it's going to change and grow over time. And here we are in the place I thought would be the best place to end our tour, which is our workroom. All of the different things that we saw on the tour today, whether it was a cream or a lotion or a scrub that was made in the herb and product kitchen, or a soap and a shampoo bar that was made in the soap room, everything inevitably ends up here in our packing room. And in the workroom, we have everything packaged beautifully on our shelves, ready to go out to the customer. As people will notice, like our product that we're making, the packaging we put the products in themselves are also very sustainable. Everything in here is done in glass, in metal, or in paperboard and recycled cardboard. Our boxes are printed here locally for us by a 3rd-generation family, and all of the packaging we use itself is also cardboard and paperboard, so everything's coming to you really sustainable. We have an excellent team of people who spend the majority of their day here in the workroom getting every box ready to go right out to you guys at home. So we really hope that you guys enjoyed today's behind-the-scenes tour. We know it's a little bit different than usual, but we hope that everyone was able to tune in, see how we do things here behind the scenes, and has enjoyed what we as a family are here to do to bring to you guys at home. Please check out our website today. Make sure you take advantage of the discount that we're able to offer to everyone today for our open house. And we really appreciate your love and support as always. Stay safe, everyone.